Hello, everyone. This is Peter Skiller from Nordic NDC. We're about to start in a few minutes. We can see attendees are still coming in, so we'll just give it a minute and more. Hello, David.
Hi, Peter. Sorry I'm a bit late.
No problem. We're about to start. I'll do the introduction and then I'll hand it over to you.
Do I have a screen sharing option?
We'll make you the presenter and then share your screen. Okay. Well, okay, see that. Jeg kan ikke se min skærm. Yes, hello. Again, welcome to everyone. My name is Peter Skiller. I'm the General Manager for Nordic NDC. And we're very happy to have you on board this webinar around the NDC. We have 84 sign-ups, participants from all over: Denmark, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Poland, Luxembourg, Croatia, and Oman. So we're actually all over the place. So we're very happy to have you here, and a big welcome. Again, we all have one thing in common. We work in the travel industry, and we have never experienced such a big hit before. But this industry overcomes any sort of crisis, so I'm sure that we'll come through this as well. And hopefully this webinar will give you some ideas on how to get past the COVID-19 situation. So again, a big welcome. A little practical information. This webinar will be recorded and you'll receive a link after the webinar so you can review it. And if you have any questions, please use the question feature in the menu out to the right. And we'll have a few questions after each presentations. And at the end of the webinar, we'll have time for a Q&A session. The webinar is planned to last 1 hour from 11 to 12. But if there's a lot of questions and talks, we're ready and available to extend it beyond that. So just to set the scene before the first presenter, COVID-19 has shown that innovation and adaptation is very important in this industry to survive. And everyone is talking about the old normal from 2019, and we all know that this is never going to happen again. There will be a new normal. What that's going to look like, we don't know. But it's important that access to the right products and services will win customers. If you're able to adapt, find new ways, create new products, you'll keep your customers. Again, you also need to increase your productivity because cost this crisis has taken a lot of cost on everyone. So it's important that you build your business up again very cost efficiently. During 2020, during the COVID year, many airlines have focused on getting ready for NDC and are now using this new alternative to distribute tickets and services, and we'll hear a lot more about this. You'll meet key stakeholders from the industry who will tell you more about NDC and where we are today after the COVID-19 situation and why you need to adjust and look into this. And some of the products and solutions that we will talk about today is here and now today, live. So it's not something that will happen in 6 or 9 months time. Things are out there live, bookings are being made, solutions are set up and running, so you don't have to wait. So this is my intro, and I'll gladly now hand over the baton to David Rudman from IATA, who will tell us more of what's going on in IATA. David?
Thank you, Peter. Is there any way to share? Okay, great. So I'll be quick because I just have 8 minutes. Hello, everyone. Thank you again, Peter. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so moving quickly, I'll just quickly cover where we are today. And this is a slide I took from IATA.org, our economics page, and we are roughly at just over 10%, if we look at Europe as a region, just over 10% of where we were in 2019. So you can see a huge drop in volumes. And of course, this is a direct result of the pandemic. So our forecast, we looked in December to see where we expected to be at the end of 2021, and we were forecasting it to be at 51% of where we were at 2019. But scenario one now, we're looking at travel restrictions being lifted in developed economies and more people being vaccinated. That figure's revised to 38%. But if we see governments being more cautious about relaxing travel restrictions, which we have seen, we could be still at roughly a third of where we were in 2019. So what are we seeing? Obviously, demand has fallen dramatically. The industry is hemorrhaging billions of dollars, requiring government support in many cases. But what we've also seen is that contactless distribution and travel has become more desirable. People are more inclined now to buy online if they can avoid having to physically go somewhere and risk catching COVID. And also the travel experience, if they can avoid physical contact at airports, that's become more desirable. And we thought we would see airlines actually slowing down their projects as a result of the pandemic. We've seen somewhat to the opposite. Airlines have used the time to actually accelerate their digitalization. And of course, we're seeing more entrants, more IT companies that are exploiting the opportunities in the travel sector, whilst the incumbents that are there are needing to adapt, and this is going to be essential as they move forward. So here's a few of some of the things that we're seeing over the last year. So we've got the likes of Lufthansa, Sabre Deal, Air France, KLM. So lots of activity still going on despite this huge drop in the volume of sales. So what are we seeing from agents? We all know that agents have experienced a lot of problems. In IATA, we're looking to move away from just NDC as a solution to more on what value can the airlines deliver to agents. And some of the things that the agents are reporting is they're getting more access to ancillaries. They're getting better, more rich content, more on the ability of to be able to provide information on the airlines. Rules, fair rules, are easier to understand rather than the sort of pages that they're used to, and of course they get access to much more on the products. NDC continues to roll out across the globe. We're currently at around 98 airlines that have implemented NDC. Our focus for this year is about on that value and also addressing those other carriers beyond that 98 who haven't implemented. So we want to get more of the airlines into the ecosystem. So we did a report through McKinsey on the benefits that NDC and One Order can deliver. This was done pre-pandemic, and they suggested, or they identified 40 billion that the airlines, that the industry could realize in benefits by 2030, and that equates to $7 per passenger and on 4% of enhanced revenue across the industry. Now, we expected, due to the pandemic, due to the massive drop in volumes, that this figure would need to be adjusted. But McKinsey revisited those numbers, and they actually have come up that the figures still stand. So those benefits are still there and still can be delivered by 2030. So the figures did not have to be revised downwards. So what is the focus for IATA, and what are we looking to see from airline retailing, which is where we're focusing more, away from NDC as a standard and more about airline retailing creating value. So the development of new offers, making new products available much faster than they currently are. Enhanced revenue management, so things like dynamic pricing and the continuous pricing that the Lufthansa Group are working on, more better use of the revenue management tools to make the right offers at the right time. Optimized distribution mix, so being able to reach the customer through multiple channels, through the channels that the customers and the agents want to be able to access the airlines from. So enabling that multiple channel approach. And of course, better customer targeting and engagement, personalization, bringing the customer into focus and being able to make offers based on what the customer wants and needs rather than what the airline can make available. And the fifth area, the fifth way we're looking is at optimized payments, not just cost savings that the airlines can achieve, but also through new payment methods, and also on fulfillment based on things like orders, using things like settlement with order. So all of these together are ways that we're looking at for the airlines to bring that value to the agents. And with that, I'm going to end, exit, and I will hand back to you if I stop sharing, Peter, so
yeah,
for any
great
questions.
Yeah, well, great, David. I have a question. There's the various airlines, and NDC has developed in various tempos. Some airlines have connected faster than others. Some features will be implemented now and others later, and so on. How do you see the best way for agents to engage in this kind of development and yeah?
So within IATA, we have a travel management advisory group, which enables agents to make their voices heard regarding what they're wanting. But we're also working with the airlines. So we're developing something called the Airline Retailing Maturity Index. So it's not just about your capability, your technical capability, but it's more about what value, what you're able to do. And we want all of the airlines to be able to identify this through that retailing maturity index so that agents can easily see what each airline is able to bring to the table. So those are ways we're looking to enable airlines to make that available. Also, with regard to the standard, we're going to do 4 releases of the standard this year, and with the version 21.3, which will be the 3rd release, we're going to build backward compatibility into that standard. So that will enable airlines in the future to be more aligned on what their capabilities are using the standard.
Excellent. Thank you, David. And if to the attendees, if you have any more questions to David, please write them down in the question function, and we'll take them later. Now we'll hand it over to Bastian to hear how one of our airline participants is doing with NDC. Bastian?
Yes, thank you. Let me just quickly show my screen. If I do it on the right way, let me know when you can see it.
Yes.
I see David nodding. That's good. First of all, David, it's good to see you again. Well, welcome also from my side to this webinar, and I'm very happy that Peter chose also the Lufthansa Group to participate. And the topic was what's in it for the agents. And I have to say, Peter, I thought a bit about it. I actually don't think that is the right question to ask. What's in it for the agent might eventually be necessary, but for me, actually, why are we doing this? Why are we doing the change? And David started on that, on various points of it. I think we have to start in those kind of discussions, in development discussions, in growth discussions, actually what is in it for the customer. Because if we know what the customer needs, and if we have an idea of how to satisfy this needs, then we also will see what the benefits are for us as airlines, but also for you as agents. So I have to say we need to tackle this a bit around, but I'll try to get to the point of what's in it for the agents eventually. But we also and always have to keep the agent in mind when doing those, the customer in mind when doing those exercises. So I'll try to swap to the next slide, and here I'll give you a bit of an insight into the Lufthansa Group's vision in terms of where do we want to go with our tech development, because we have 3 visionary statements that we base our strategic focus on. And the first one I've mentioned is we're going from generic to relevant purchases. If a customer, and here I really talk about the person that is booking the travel, is not willing to look for a flight via X hub, we should not show that, irrespective whether it's ours or somebody else's hub. If that passenger would want to have a specific ancillary in it, we should make sure that we do include this in the offer in the first place. So we only will really choose relevant offers to offer to our customer, because right now there's too much information out there. Nobody, and David, you mentioned it, or was it Peter, that it's rather hard to see and look really what's part of a product. So it's really the necessity of building relevant purchases. And I think then we will come to what I'm going to talk about. It's a value-based partnership with the agent, because only together I truly believe that we can build a value for the customer in the end. If we both sit at one table and talk and discuss with one another what we can bring to the table to create a benefit to our joint customers, then this is how we're going to succeed. So we really want to go away from this classical, you book a trip, you get 5% kickback, you get 10% discount, more to a value-based partnership. So what can we both bring to the table to deliver a common value to our customers? And the third part, yes, it's reaching scale together, but I don't think that's just how technology works. The more people are investing into technology, the more it will develop. And so how did we come about and thought, okay, how do we bring this value-based partnership to the table? And the Lufthansa Group has tried to do this in 4 different pillars. One is actually the offer pillar, which we call the NDC Smart Offer. It's very market specific, and it ranges from specific topics or from specific offers that we hand out to our customers through the NDC capable distribution channels. There are things that you probably know, the light fares that we only distribute in some markets, like in Denmark, only through the NDC channel, but also we've implemented 0 baggage fares on our intercontinental product. So it's quite a known product that we're enhancing in the NDC product, but we're also developing our offers in the NDC world while offering additional ancillaries. For example, you can book a lounge access straight within the environment. Wi-Fi on board, a fixed price upgrade is what we're offering, but also now, and that shows that we're constantly developing our portfolio here, is we're offering our a la carte dining through the NDC channel. So that just shows that we can sit on one table and could say, okay, what is the right offer for our joint customer, and then actually choose the right offer to place in your shelves as an agent in order to create a value for you. And I think the biggest issue is, the biggest highlight for me is actually the continuous pricing, which I'm coming later to, because we're going away from specific price points into unlimited price points, which will always guarantee the best price of the specific offer to our partners, to our customers. The second part, and I think here we really grew in the last years because it's actually a development phase for us. That second pillar is very partner specific, but we are aware of the current dynamics of the market. It's very transactional based. There's a specific money flow in the system. So we decided, especially in the beginning, that we would help our partners to bridge into the new world. We call it the NDC coupon bonus, where we would offer to specific agents basically a kickback when they do the move into the NDC world. This should help you bridge your initial costs and transactional costs to upgrade your systems. And the second part, and that's also something where you should discuss with your Lufthansa Group account manager, an NDC setup bonus. If you are willing to shift some sort of traffic into the NDC world, we would actually support the investment that you make. And I do believe that this is a very strong pillar in the beginning to help you transition into the new world of modern retailing that I think is very valuable. The third part, I think the servicing, we help you get used to this new environment. We have specific help desks, so there's something that you have in there. And the fourth part, and I think that's something that I believe brings an additional value to it, we offer a tailor-made solutions because we support multiple solutions within the tech world. We offer you to work on pilot projects. So if you have something that really you believe is beneficial for your partners or for your customers, then talk to us. We are willing to actually go in pilot projects through it. We're constantly developing new functionalities like the reshop in order to make it a seamless and smooth transactions within the NDC environment. And with 70 plus tech providers, we're actually able to offer, in my world, an individualized option to fit your environment and your customers the best needs. And now just one more slide just to show you the highlight that I was talking about. It's for me the continuous pricing. All of you know the booking classes, RBDs. We have only as many as we have the alphabet. That's just the limit that we have and that we're working in. But we have implemented through our NDC channels currently continuous pricing. So we basically went away from 5 price points in the example that I'm showing to unlimited price points. That means that the customers, when we do make a price tag on an offer, will always get the best price. And that is something I think you can also benefit from in the long run. So what is in it for the agents, Peter? For me, it's individualization to his or our joint customer needs. It's targeted and supported implementation based on your needs. And ultimately, you're making the best offer to your customers and therefore revenue growth. What did David say? $40 billion or 4% of the of enhanced revenue? I think that's in it. Peter,
well, yeah,
that
great.
was 7 minutes.
Very fine. It's time for a question. As you said, you have so many various offers and ways you can work with the agencies. What is a good advice from your side to agents who are very new in this and needs to kind of understand or figure out how they should do the change from their normal or their current way of doing business to enter into this new world?
My first suggestion is actually figure out what your customer wants. Sorry, that's so generic, but it actually helps looking at it from your customer's perspective. And then I would actually say, talk to your airline account manager. I'm pretty sure Heidi has some that are willing to step up, but also our side. And then talk about, this is what my customer needs, look at it from that. And then we will consult you and saying, okay, those are the tech providers that we know of. Those are the tech providers we do believe are fitting your needs. And then talk to the individual tech providers to see what's actually out there. What are the best options to implement in your framework? So I think that's the right way forward. You look at how your customer booking flow is, what are their needs, and then actually talk to your agents to consult, because I think the airlines currently are a bit further in the development in NDC. And we also know what the different players are out there and how they can work and mix and match together. And then we can talk about how to implement. Then we can even hook you up with contact details in that respect, or actually talk to existing tech providers that you have, when they can integrate whatever your customer needs.
Excellent, great, thank you. We'll hand it over to Heidi, and we'll hear from Finnair and learn more about retailing, NDC retailing. Thank you, Bastian.
Thank you. And are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Great. Hi everyone, my name is Heidi, representing Finnair today. Happy to be talking to you, and I will also try to keep my 8 minutes. And very happy to see other presentations so far, and it seems that we are very much aligned with how we are looking at retailing and the new world, and what we want to do with NDC as part of that. Just a sec. Okay. So at Finnair, of course, it's been very different year, and of course, as we heard from David as well, maybe the challenges will continue in some way, but we are looking at the future and thinking of what are the key pillars that we need to make sure that we have in place for future. And of course, we do believe in a bright future. And here we see profitable growth, customer experience, people experience, transformation, and corporate responsibility as key cornerstones for our success. And when we think about NDC, quite a few items here in fact touch that area as well. But I would also say that customer experience is key, just as Bastian was saying. I was smiling there. And transformation, of course, because we do need to change the way we sell via you, our valued travel agent partners. So when we talk about NDC, it's really about the retailing experience, and it's a process, it's a journey. So of course we would all like to be there already, that we see the full benefits, but it's also about building it. And what I think is really key to success is that we do it together. So for us as well, you have to start and then you learn more. So it's not about just waiting for things to be ready and then you just pick up the package, but it's really the fun in it as well, that you start doing it, you start developing. And for us, I think it's so valuable also in every project to hear feedback from aggregator partners, from travel agent partners, what is working and what could be done better, what we still need to do. We are not going to build exactly the same world, so things are not going to be the same as it is today. But of course, we want to do things better and create better processes. But definitely, that's what we've seen as well, that this current difficult situation, it's actually opening new opportunities and accelerated the need to change. So for sure, there will be many changes, how and when travel will be purchased, safe travel, very key, responsible travel, and the travel experience, and also the travel purchase experience, which is part of that. So when thinking about the better processes, the better world, it's really for us also about the customer experience. we want to be able to ensure that our joint customers get the best shopping experience and travel experience. So of course, there's cost savings, there's revenue opportunities, money is always involved. Of course, for everyone, it's key that you as travel agent are able to have the best offers, the dynamic offers, but also the tailored offers. So here, talking about the same things as Bastian was saying, that the relevant offers. So it could be that based on the loyalty, based on customer corporate recognition, we are able to offer certain benefits already included in the fare. But maybe for some other customers who are less loyal, then they do not get those benefits. So really about identifying the loyal ones and the ones who might have a corporate agreement, for instance, we are able to offer different entity. Very key for smart decision making. So we want to make that better. It's not just about the price and the time. Of course, for corporate travelers, timing is key, but so is punctuality. Emissions are becoming more interesting, and also the safety information and the restrictions, the rules that in fact might change every day. So it's very key to be able to share information, not just in static format, and when it takes a very long time to change the fare rules, for instance, but we have to be able to share information faster and information that is changing. Then, as we know, this situation has caused that there's more changes and more irregularity situations than ever. So, so something we also want to do in this new retailing world better, that cancellations, exchanges online become easier, and also those involuntary cancellations, delays, in those situations, the customers could also easier have options online, what they want to do. It doesn't always mean that they have to call, but the travel agent partners could also share solutions online. Here, just listing some of our current capabilities via NDC. So as mentioned, of course, everything is being developed further all the time, and that's I would say the fun of it as well. But we see that in addition to the basic functionalities, it's more about the rich content and corporate recognition, loyalty recognition. So not just replicating what we have today, but really adding some extras so that we can really talk about a better customer experience. From the key development items planned for this year, I just want to say that here we really work with our partners. So partners being you travel agents and also aggregator partners, to know what are the priorities, what are the key areas that need to be developed. So it's not just a one-way street, but we really do listen to what's important, and also that has an impact on the items, how we prioritize development items on our roadmap. So key takeaways, just want to say that we value travel agents as partners, and that remains to be so. So it's not about trying to make things complicated, even though of course change requires new ways of thinking and adopting new processes. But really it's about doing it together. Like Bastian said as well, that we are able to serve our joint customers in a new way. Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. And very interesting. And again, as you mentioned here, and we heard from Bastian that you have a very close dialogue and with the agencies around out there. to hear what are their views on what are the needs for the customers and so on. One question today, the typical retailing or ancillary services that you can have would be extra bag and meal and seating and maybe lounge access and things like that. What type of other products, services do you see in the near future being offered? And
I would like to say that it will be more about the extras also around the flight itself. What we always hear is that the priority services are something that are key, of course, depending on whether they are already included in the price or not. But if they are not, then priority security, of course, it can be already something that's received based on loyalty card or corporate recognition, but that seems to be something. And Wi-Fi, I think that it would be nice to. Let me see. Am I sharing still?
We can see the screen. Yes.
Yes, I just want to get it out. Yes, so I think that Wi-Fi would be something that possibly could be additional, but yeah, very interesting to see what all will be there. Is it going to be about transportation to the airports that can be tailored to, or other travel services that could be tied to flight tickets and things like that?
And do you see eventually in the future customized pricing based on individual companies' need for a mix of services like cancellation, specified cancellation options, including with baggage and lounge access, and then you build a certain price for that? So it's 100% tailor-made for that customer, or how do you see that development?
Well, also it will be very interesting to see, maybe just like fully tailored. That's probably, I mean, still you would have to know who is really asking and have some way to identify the one requesting the offer. But of course, I would say that loyalty is definitely something that's it's quite easy to recognize. Plus, then the loyalty customer already is willing to share their loyalty details. So basically, they already register. So then they are happy to share who they are. But I don't know. I would really like to see that there's more personalization, and it's going to be very interesting to see how far we can really go with this personalization.
Yeah, Bastian, do you have a comment on this?
I think for me, the topic of individualization, I think you said it in the beginning, and I was like, okay, we're not talking about making a specific price because we know Peter Skieler is looking for it, and my then robot in the back will say, oh, it's Peter, I'm going to charge him 10% more. The idea in that sense is to actually tailor make the question. So I think with that, we call it conversational commerce. So you have much more dialogue in between. You are looking for a trip from A to B that might include a hotel or a lounge access, and you're allowed to fly business class. So we would narrow down your search to only fulfill those requirements, instead of saying, oh, it's Peter, so I don't know who is asking, but I know the question being asked. I hope I was not too confusing when I said that. So I think that's the great advantage of the NDC environment that we have here, that we are a lot better to serve the needs of the questions that are being asked. So we will not identify the person behind it, but we will look more in the direction of what they're actually looking for and narrow down the searches, because I think that is customer convenience. If I don't have to scroll through 10 pages to figure out this is the right offer that I have.
Excellent, great. Thank you, both Heidi, thank you, and Bastian. And maybe we could roll the ball over to Peter Ducek from Aron Group, because how are the agencies and the customers getting access to all this?
Hello, good morning and good afternoon, everyone. And thanks very much to Peter for the invitation for this exciting session. So let me share my screen. Just tell me whether you can see it. Can you see my screen, Peter?
It is there.
Terrific. Brilliant. So just quickly to introduce myself, my name is Peter and I'm looking after sales, marketing and customer here in our group. And what we decided to do with Peter today is to split my slot into two parts. One, I'll quickly take you through our development and our innovations, reflecting what Bastian, Heidi and David mentioned as of the NDC development from the airline side, and how we cope with that with all the content on our side as the aggregator to make it work for the for you as travel agencies. And then the other part is actually a quick video with demo how actually booking and servicing the NDC content in our platform looks like. So what I started with here, reflecting on what David said in terms of the leaderboard airlines and governance steering group on IATA side, which consists members from the agencies as well, who basically say what they would need in terms of selling NDC successfully. This is basically a list of features we have up and running in our Symphony Hub agent selling platform, which basically reflects on what has been said, but it also shows that there's plenty of areas where in order to make NDC work successfully, it's actually the aggregator talking to the agents on their specific needs and what needs to be incorporated into the flow. So what I started with maybe as the key benefit for the agents is that essentially the tool should have a multi-content enabled, not just NDC, because obviously NDC is definitely the way forward, the industry standard. However, not all of the airlines are yet on NDC, and essentially the agent should have a tool at hand where he can see all the NDC offers, but combined with GDS offers and low-cost carrier offers on a single screen. So you essentially don't need to skip between different applications to see whether this Finnair offer, this Lufthansa offer from NDC is better than whatsoever airline coming from GDS. Also, it's about the fact of not showing the basic prices, but about the new generation of selling. So showing rich content, so including information about fare families, what features are included in the respective fare family selling and salary products as well, both during the prime sale and during the booking servicing. So seats, bags, meals, Wi-Fi, as Heidi mentioned, etc. But also pushing it even a step forward, especially considering the current situation with COVID-19, and perhaps show rich media or information about COVID-19 measures taken by the airlines to protect your customers. Then what's definitely important part is what we call MBO feed. So that's mid and back office feed or of all the offers made or changed from the agent selling platform to the agency back office systems like accounting programs or invoicing systems, etc. Booking servicing, that's been already said, that actually the agents shouldn't be left in dark, that they managed to create the booking on NDC, but then there's no way how to cancel it, void it, to ancillaries, etc. And last but not least, the solution should support various payment options or settlement options between the agency and the airline. So the most preferred one for everyone involved, I would say, is a BSP cash or ARC for North America. But then for TMCs and for corporate customers, it's about credit cards as well. So I'll skip this slide, which is basically describing the flows in the Symphony Hub. And I'll just finish with the very last slide over here, which is the list of the airlines we are currently working on, just to give you a flavor. So I'm very glad that we have both Finnair and Lufthansa Group in the box on the left. So both of the airlines or airline groups are up and running. So we have Finnair and the whole of Lufthansa Group. And what we are aiming for by the end of this year is basically something like 25 to 30 NDC airlines as we speak. So that's for the presentation. And what I try to do now is to play the video. I just hope that the music will go on. If not, So that's it from my side. Not sure whether you heard the music. If not, that was quite unfortunate because I could be singing alone. But that's pretty much it. So thanks very much, and perhaps there might be some questions later on.
Yeah. Well, thanks a lot, Peter, and it's very interesting to see how far you've come in combining the three sources of airline content from GDS, NDC, low-cost carriers into one screen, and all the content that you we heard for the retailing part that you integrated into the system. I have a question here from one of the participants, Kimmo. He says, as a travel agency, I'm concerned about two things. First of all, Amadeus is a neutral channel where you can find connections, prices, and so on. If I understand right, airlines are going to own the NDC channel, and it's difficult to know what connections there, who's in there, what's in there. And the second is, where can we keep track on all the schedule changes that come? There was a brief introduction to it in your video. Can you give a little elaboration on this?
I'll maybe pass over to Bastian to comment probably on the content, and then I'll take the notifications or the disruption info.
Yes, please. Just to say it, airlines do not own the NDC channel. There is, but probably Heidi and David know that a bit better than I am, maybe a different way. We offer our products to everybody that wants it in an NDC format. NDC is a format of transmitting information from A to B. It's a language. It's basically XML based, so it's not something we own. And the idea, and I think Peter showed that very, very well, in the aggregator by Aran Group, you could actually see all of the information that we are giving out, undisputed, as transparent as can be. You can see Lufthansa Group versus Finnair versus British Airways. So I think you actually are gaining more transparency because we have the chance of showing more that is included in our offer, because we're going away from availability, schedule, and price to a complete offer with everything that is included in that. So no, airlines do not own NDC. We are just taking back the offer creation and then displaying that as transparent as can be. I hope I was, Heidi, David, do you have anything to add on that one? Just to, good. Then Peter, to you.
Yeah, and I'll just quickly pick up on the disruptions. So what was described in the video very quickly is a functionality called disruption notifications, or in the NDC jargon, it's called OCN, or the change notifications, which we have in place for pretty much all the carriers, including Finnair and Lufthansa Group. And it works on a very basic principle that whenever the agency creates an NDC booking, an NDC order, and this is touched on involuntary by the airline, so there's a cancellation, schedule change, whatsoever, a reaccommodation, then the airline triggers this message to be sent to the aggregator, and at the same moment we receive it, we display it in the Symphony Hub. So it works very similar to using, for example, queue number 7 in your GDS, which stands for schedule change notifications. So whenever Lufthansa, Finnair, or any other airline touches the booking will straight away appear on the list, as you've seen in the video, saying what has happened with the booking, and you can then administer it the same way like you administer your queues in your GDS.
Okay, great. Another question, what options do you have for transmitting data to the mid and back office system?
Okay, that's probably a question to us, or perhaps a question to maybe even you, Peter. But if I take it from our side, we have like various options how the data can be transmitted. One is we are, even for NDC or low-cost couriers, we are creating a dummy PNR with actually just holding a text information in the GDS. So that's one option where some of the agents are taking the info for their back office feed or mid office feed. The other option is we have a direct feed from the Symphony hub based on an XML structure. The agents or mid and back office providers rather can pick it up from there. And then we have various providers of mid and back office feeds fully integrated with Symphony. One of those is Atlas, which perhaps Peter can talk more about in detail, or we have Midurka, and we are working with a couple of others.
Great, thank you. Yes, maybe that's the cue to me.
Because we haven't rehearsed that, so it's a coincidence. But yeah, it's a key to you.
Thank you, Peter, for your presentation. I'll take over from here. Just quickly about Nordic NDC, was founded in 2019, and our focus area is the Baltic and Nordic region. And our vision is to refine and help work with agencies and airlines and corporate customers who wants to utilize and benefit from the advantages of NDC and being the go-to expert here in our region. Our business areas are independent consultancy and advisory within the area of travel technology and NDC, and then building add-on modules where we help tie things together. An example, as Peter mentioned, is our Atlas data hub that secures the end-to-end data flow between NDC booking engines and the travel agency back office systems. Because in the whole setup and the work with NDC, this is a crucial area for agencies to make sure that productivity is kept so you don't disrupt your workflows. As an example here, what I call the NDC LCC low-cost carrier booking dilemma. Often today, the agency have the selling platform Connect from Amadeus, and from here the booking data goes directly via the ARR Amadeus interface record into the back office system. But for the past 5-10 years, agencies have started to book other types of airline tickets from low-cost carriers, from NDC portals like Spark and airline NDC portals, or on the airline.com websites. And from here, you often just get an email in different formats, and the agents then have to punch in all the booking data manually into the back office system. And to avoid an increase in the workflow, often the agents will say, well, we don't do this because we make no money by spending half an hour punching in manual data into our back office system, or it's simply too complicated. So what we have done is created a data hub that we call Atlas, where we integrate the booking data from the handoff that Peter mentioned from example Symphony. We take the data, convert it into the XML format or the import format that the back office system in the agency use, and then we transfer and create an end-to-end data flow. And this means that once you have created a booking, as an example in Symphony, either via the agent agent Symphony Hub or the corporate system Symphony Corporate and so on, the data is captured, sent directly to us, to our Atlas platform, and converted and sent into agency back office system. And this all happens in a matter of seconds, so you don't have to disrupt your workflow. So it's with Atlas, you'll 100% automate the booking data flow and create higher productivity, as you don't need to enter your data manually after the NDC or low-cost carrier bookings. And data is transferred and kept 100% data accuracy, because the data that comes out of the booking systems is entered directly into the back office systems. So no manual errors or mistypings or things like this. And we can actually see from one of our live implementations that the Atlas and this end-to-end data flow can save up to 15-20 minutes in the manual work per NDC or low-cost carrier bookings, because you don't have to go out to an external website, create the booking, enter payment information manually, get an email, and then re-punch all this information again into your travel order and back office system. And a new thing that we just want to mention here is what we call Green Atlas, is that we can also take this data and do some CO2 and greenhouse gas emission reports, because we can take the booking data that comes from all three sources from Symphony and calculate, and not only from the data that comes from one source. So again, it's very important for agencies to maintain the productivity and increase the productivity once you start to build up your business again. We can move to some questions here to Peter from Air Group. What about changing tickets booked in Symphony Hub? How does this work?
Yeah, very good question, because that's actually what we are just introducing to Symphony Hub, as what you've probably seen on my presentation with those 20+ NDC carriers. In the phase one, we wanted to catch the momentum and bring the most of the NDC content into Symphony with some like basic service functionalities like cancel, void, refund, and buying ancillaries. And in the second phase, we decided to bring in the change of booking. So that means voluntary and involuntary changes, basically what both Heidi and Bastian covered in their presentations, as of the reshopping functionalities. So things like P&L split, updating your frequent flyer. So that's being implemented as we speak. So what we are aiming for is like to start having it ready throughout the summer.
Okay, great.
For the time being, there's the agents are not left in dark, I have to say, because how the change process works like right now is whenever you create an NDC booking in Symphony, you can still open the booking fully, for example, in Lufthansa Spark platform, and you can change it, you can service it the way you want, free of charge over there. So the booking would behave the same way like being made in Spark. And then that would remain the option for the future as well. So in case the agencies are happy to do that through the respective agency platform. Heidi has a lovely companion as I can see. That would remain in the future as well as the option. But if the agents will keen to service or actually do all the action within their NDC bookings within Symphony, that's what I said will be introduced from the summer this year onwards.
Great. Another question here: is it possible to access and use Symphony for non-IATA agents?
It is generally, but I think maybe it's a question for Heidi and Bastian as well. Like, what's Finnair's and Lufthansa Group approach to non-IATA agents in terms of delivering the NDC credentials? Because our experience is that certain airlines actually do prefer to work with the IATA, with the non-IATAs in a trilateral way. So having their IATA agency as the fulfiller for issuing the documents within the process. So that's what we can accommodate in Symphony as well. But there needs to be the IATA agency involved in that, which will be actually or where the non-IATA agent will be using the IATA's NDC credentials issued by the respective airlines. The IATA will be issuing the e-tickets EMDs against its IATA number using BSP Cash, but then the non-IATA can have like independent access to Symphony to book it, sell it, service it the way how its agreement with the IATA partner works.
Okay, great.
So maybe I can shortly comment on the airline side. So yes, definitely, it's up to the airlines what each airline accepts as sellers via Aron Group, for instance. For Finnair so far today, it is only IATA agents via BSP cash settlement. But that's something that we are also looking into, because of course with NDC it's possible to create new models and new processes, but for non-IATAs then what we are looking into is this new identification format, TIDS, that's also provided by IATA. So then that would at least be something we would require in future, so that every seller is registered and globally recognized. So for the similar identification process as for IATAs.
Great. And
if I may add to that, Peter, we're providing TIDS free to travel agents at the moment. So there used to be a charge, and at the moment it's an agent, a non-IATA agent can access a TIDS identifier free of charge.
Okay, so for non-IATA agents, it would be as an easy entry into getting access to NDC. That was a question to you, David.
Well, they can get the identifier free of charge. Then it's up to the airlines to accept it, and that's obviously an airline commercial decision.
Okay, but you have also from IATA worked on a simplified version of setting up the BSP and the payments.
We have, yes. So in addition to the EasyPay initiative that you're aware of, so that agents can get a wallet in order to avoid cash for those agents that don't have the ability or the airlines, are restricted on cash usage. So we have that, but we also are working on settlement with orders. So that enables a much simpler settlement process for NDC transactions.
Great. So
and maybe just a quick quick comment on EasyPay, as David just touched it. That's gradually now becoming available throughout the NDC with the key or at least the leaderboard airlines. So not sure whether Heidi has seen the update, but like early today, we finally managed to successfully pass on the production EasyPay booking and payment using Finnair, and now we'll be like replicating that to the other airlines like Lufthansa Group, etc. So I think that sort of proves that even the payment initiatives and new settlement options introduced by IATA are gradually now being introduced into the NDC world.
Okay, great. So on looking at the situation post-pandemic, there's actually a lot of good ways to get started and look forward with NDC from an agency perspective. As a roundup, do you have just a closing comment on this? Should we start with Sebastian?
Well, my closing comment on the future, I think we're currently in a situation where we are lucky to not be overflown with inquiries. We actually are able to learn new systems, implement them in the right way. And we also see the benefits of this. So there's more and more development coming. I think the payment topic that you just touched is probably the next thing to really kick off steam. So I can only recommend everybody at this very moment to really look into the options of different tech providers that are out there. Anyone from, I'm going to say them, Amadeus as a tech provider, over Sabre, to new ones here as the Aran Group. There are so many different options that will fit your needs, where the airlines have different developments with. Really take the time right now, because we do have the time in our hands before summer kicks in, before people will travel again, to see what is my best need, what fits my needs, and then actually start looking in that direction. Because I think the benefits for the customer are, in my world, obvious. Transparency is one of the major keys of it. And I think this is the right time to definitely step on that train.
Great. Closing from you, Heidi? Closing word?
Yes, I would definitely agree with Bastian there that I joined this team. I always struggle to remember. Now I think it's been 4 years now, and maybe then there was a question mark whether NDC is going to take off like it was some people were, some airlines were already quite far, but it wasn't that wide, but it was definitely moving forward. But it was still, in my mind at least, it was a question mark. So let's see. But I think today there's no question mark anymore whether NDC API is going to be implemented by all of the airlines. Everyone's been focusing on it, investing on it so much. And even this, the last year, which has been tricky, we see that airlines have just been investing even more. So I think that it's really, I mean, there's no point in avoiding it. It's really just to start looking into it and learning more. And there's several options, and there's new models, and there's there will be a suitable model for everyone. But it's like embrace it. Don't expect it to be just an easy road and everything to be just as it was before. It's going to be change. But it's better really just to start going that path, because it's going to be where we all are. So so yes, that would be my closing comment today.
Okay. Peter, for closing.
Okay. I will probably just recap on what Heidi and Bastian mentioned. I'm glad to hear that Bastian said that like Lufthansa Group is not overwhelmed now, and like the agents are able to use the silent between the storm to move forward. Because with us it's exactly the other way around. Because like the demand for NDC and implementations is growing through the roof. So basically, what Heidi mentioned, that even during the pandemic, that this had speeded up the adoption process across the airlines. What we see is that because of the richer content, even the sellers, the agencies who have been like waiting for a couple of years, have now decided that yeah, NDC is the new way forward, new standard. So as my closing point or my suggestion would be, reflecting on what Bastian mentioned, consider what's the best for your customer, and consider what the different aggregators, either us, perhaps GDSs, or any other like new market entrants can offer you to match your needs, and take it from there. But it's a proof that really NDC will be here. It might not be called NDC because it will become an industry standard, and we all need to live with that from the best what it can offer to the whole marketplace.
Thank you. And David?
Thanks, Peter. Yeah, actually, if we look outside Nordic region and look globally, what we've seen as a result of the pandemic is that in markets where it was more of a tradition to do a face-to-face purchase, they are moving digital. And so I think the important thing from an airline perspective, from an agent's perspective, is to embrace digital, and NDC obviously offers that as a solution. Because you can expand markets for airlines and both for agents. Your reach is going to get greater because markets that traditionally have done the physical, going into an agent, buying the ticket, they're now moving towards what you take for granted, I guess, in Nordic and Baltic, which is sort of online purchasing. So that would be my takeaway.
Okay. Well, thanks a lot. Thank you everyone for participating here today. There are some questions that we haven't had the time to answer. We will reply on these and send back to you. And as I said in the beginning, this webinar has been recorded, and they will send you the link and presentations. Again, thank you very much for everyone for being here today, and we hope to talk to you soon. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Oh, slogan. Here is now. No, I think everybody is leaving.
Exactly. See you, Peter.
Yeah, thank you, Bastian. Great show.